Thank you so kindly, my brothers and my sisters. As I take this opportunity to address you in matters relating to our fishing industry, permit me to go back to the prophet King Austin song, it's Calypso of 1980, which is prophetical. He said, "Today, when I look around in the world, what do I see? I see footprints that man have left on the sun while walking through time. I see fruit of our imagination, fruits of our ambitions, figment of our imagination. And I ask myself, when will it end? When will it end? It is plain to see, universally, this land is not bountiful as it was, simply because in his quest for success, nothing stands in man's ways. All rivers run dry. Soon the birds wouldn't fly. The mountain will be no longer high. And when I really think of it, I just wonder why." And I could go on where he said, at the end of his Calypso, and some of the things the scripture predict truthfully come to pass. Soil that wouldn't bear, children making children to be part of this growing mass. And I ask, if this is progress, how long will it last? Today, I sat around and I listened to many of those who came before me to present on the various subject matter that confronts us. And I asked myself, how much of what we are discussing here today actually filters to the ordinary man and woman, which lives are affected by the very subject in which we are asked to make our presentation. But I don't have a lot of time, and therefore my concentration must be centered around the fishing industry. The fishing industry is a major contributor to national GDP and play an important role in the creation of employment in the rural and blue industry. Data has shown that the worth of that industry is somewhere in the region of $90 to $100 million in the national economy annually. But you would appreciate that a major chunk of what the fishermen or the fishing industry contribute towards the national economy goes towards this entity that is involved in the supply and distribution of fossil fuel or fossil product. The average fishers or pelagic boat fishers that goes out regularly during the pelagic season consume an average of about 800 to 1,000 EC dollars on a day trip to go out for their catch. And I look around and I ask myself, with all the bright brains and everything that we have discussed here, why is it in this day and age that we have a situation, and I'm happy that I have Ms. Laura and the gentleman here who has made a lot of stride in the area to try and resolve some of that problem. But critically, like anything else, it doesn't seem like the powers or those who are responsible in terms of creating policy guidelines to help us are interested in using particularly local technology and innovation to help in areas of the economy and industries that is important to us. And so therefore, you are left to go overseas to see how best you can even stay above water. So we have a situation where in this day and age, I don't see no incentive being offered for better craft or craft with engine that would be more efficient or even using renewable energy. Another critical aspect of the industry is when I examine what is happening inland, I can see not only the threat to the livelihood of the fishing community and by extension the rural economy and what we have as the national food security because of our behavior upstream. I want to speak from my heart. Those of us who muddy the water upstream without no care or attention of the effect that it will have on those who are downstream will have a rude awakening one day when we wake up and realize that there is no movement below to take care of us. And I say this to say that I see the destruction at an alarming rate of our wetland and our mangrove, which is very critical in the preservation of the blue economy, not only to fishers, but for everyone who uses, including those who perhaps today are very instrumental in the destruction of that very ecosystem that is critical to the sustainability of our lives and every industry along the way. And I talk about the mangrove. The mangroves serve as a critical first-hand barrier against the destruction of our ocean and our coral reef. It serves as a filter to trap mud and siltation to prevent it from reaching the coral reef. And we are destroying that mangrove at an alarming rate in the name of development, not understanding the critical impact that it will have, not only on the fishing industry, but the entire economy of our land if we do not stop that reckless course and behavior. That same mangrove serves as a nursery, and it serves as a nursery to protect and for the upkeep of our fish stock in this country. All the snappers, both the mahogany and the mangrove snappers, the grunt, the Margaret, the tapan, all of them need the mangrove in order for them to continue to strive and survive. And if we don't understand that our behavior upstream and what we do on land have a direct impact downstream and in our ocean, and we continue to behave as if we are the only one that are important, without embracing each other and work together with each other to prevent the total collapse of not only the fishing industry, but of our ocean and waterways, then we will be in for rude awakening. I say so. It cannot be right in this day and age that we have a Ministry of Infrastructure who you mean to tell me do not have an environmentalist within that ministry to inform the ministry that it cannot desilk waterways and rivers 2 or 3 weeks before the hurricane season or the rainy season? That the disturbance of the soil is going to create problems so that when the rain comes down, the deposit of that silk and mud goes directly upon our coral reef, thereby creating serious problem for the coral reef and for our fish stock. And also for the very people that we invite here, so that they can dive and see the pristine nature of our water. Today, before you have any level of wind activity, almost no one can use the sea. The very tourists. So those who are involved in our development and in the tourism industry are doing a disservice to themselves by not paying attention to the activities that is being done upstream. And I have said so to the ministry that you need to embark on a program of desilting our rivers 6 to 4 months before the rainy season, thereby giving the soil sufficient time to harden up and for the vegetation to regrow, so that we do not have a situation where it rains and all the mud goes onto our coral reef. My people, as I listen to everybody here today, I ask myself, what is the significance of this exercise? I've learned quite a bit, I must say. But I've wondered how many of this actually reaches the people who needs to know of what is happening. We have to create a balance. We are only passerbys here, you know. We have a very short time to live here. We have to live an environment that the generation after us is going to enjoy. We need to preserve what we have. I cannot end without mentioning that, you know, I heard Mr. Ramirez this morning mention of innovation in terms of being done on the field. And I remember when my father was first introduced to the banana industry, and they wanted him to become a banana farmer. After 2 years of practicing banana cultivation, my father decided that he was no longer going to continue in that area, because he saw firsthand the level of soil degradation and erosion that was happening on the slope as a result, and the level of poison and chemical that was being dumped into the waterway as a result of the banana industry. And he moved away from it, and my father, being a farmer all his life, never used neither pesticide, weedicide, etc. And he planted, I wanted to say something that is a bit laughable, but he wanted to plant 3 crops to protect the soil. And it brings me back to the report that is now coming out of Martinique. And I wonder whether it is true here today, and that because we are not interested, or we believe that we do not have the voice, that we have left our farmers and our rural community almost powerless to carry out an assessment of the detrimental effect that those poisons have had on our community and our waterways. Today, Martinique is said that not even the drinking water in Martinique is considered safe, and that the fish stock along the coastline of Martinique is unsafe as a result of a particular pesticide. So when we do things, when we are all about developing ways of making good money and making things and life easier for us, we must consider the implication that it is going to have, not only on those who do not care about, but also on our own lives, because it will always come back to haunt us. Because there must be a balance. And if you are on a seesaw, and you believe that you can cause somebody to crumble as a result of your behavior, you better watch it, that when that person has crumbled, you yourself from a higher height will come crumbling down. And I want to say to you today that I'm very thankful that you have made it possible to give us a voice that we can articulate our position and what is affecting us. But I want to see a forum that can reach out to the ordinary man and woman on the street, because who feels it, knows it. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Magni.